Hi, everyone. So welcome back to Chapter 13. We are going to focus on Chapter 13.2 today, which is all about biotic and abiotic factors. So biotic factors and abiotic factors are living and non-living things that are found in ecosystems. So biotic factors would be your living things, those that breathe air, your plants, your animals, your fungi, your bacteria. Your non-living factors, your abiotic factors, are everything that go from rocks and soil. You have to be careful with soil because some soil has living things in it, to moisture, temperature, wind, sunlight, and minerals. So that encompasses everything else in the ecosystem, including temperature and climate. Biodiversity is the variety of life that is within any particular area, and a keystone species is an organism that has an unusually large effect on the ecosystem. All ecosystems do include biotic and abiotic factors. So they are all composed of those living and non-living things in the ecosystem. Your biotic factors are your living things. Each organism plays a particular role within the ecosystem, and it's a breathing thing. So it's something that's alive. Your abiotic factors are your non-living things. These help balance your factors out to determine which living things are able to survive in a particular environment. We obviously know that we can't take an African elephant and stick it in Antarctica. It's not going to survive because its abiotic factors are different. An ecosystem may look similar from one year to the next. We know this living in New England, that our ecosystem is constantly changing due to the changes in the weather that we have here. Similar numbers of plants and animals are always existing, but they're never identical. There may be more plants and less animals one year, and it may switch the next year. Ecosystems are also always undergoing change. There are changes in the amount of precipitation, so rain or snow, that we get every year. There may be more or less sun than normal, and our temperatures may change from year to year. Changing one factor in an ecosystem affects many others. So an ecosystem is a complex well of connected biotic and abiotic factors. All of these species are affected by change, and the biotic factors and the abiotic factors change in their ecosystem. In the following picture, we are going to identify some of the biotic and abiotic factors. So here, first, we're going to try to identify some of those living things. Obviously, it's pretty easy. This flower, our turtles, the fish, our big fish, dragonfly, ladybug, frog, walking spider, lily pads, raccoons, deer, eagle, the trees, the grass. We can pretty much identify our living things pretty easily. Our non-living things, though, we have this decaying log. It is no longer living, so it's technically an abiotic factor. The sunshine, the atmosphere, the water, these little rocks that are down here. Okay, so those are our non-living factors, our abiotic factors. Biodiversity is the relationships within an ecosystem that form complex and complicated relationships. Biodiversity is the assortment of or variety of living things that are within one specific ecosystem. An area that is very high in biodiversity, I know my spelling is awful, that should say such as the rainforest, has a large assortment of different species that live near one another. The amount of biodiversity found in an area depends on many different factors, including moisture and temperature. The more moist, the more precipitation, the warmer the weather, like in a rainforest, means the more biodiversity that you can have, because there's a lot of bug species that will thrive there. Where there's high moisture, there's usually water in ponds. So there's a lot of fish that live there that attract then birds that eat the fish and the bugs and the plant species, and all of that makes it very biodiverse, makes the biodiversity there very rich. Some areas around the world have an unusually large amount of biodiversity in comparison to others. We're going to take the tropical rainforest as our most prominent example. The tropical rainforests are very moist and warm, and they cover less than 7% of Earth's ground surface, but they account for more than 50% of the planet's plant and animal species. So more than 50% of plants and animals on Earth, of the species that we have on Earth, live in the rainforest that only takes up about 7% of Earth's surface. This emphasizes the importance to conserving such areas. These hotspots are located around the globe, and they are very rich in biodiversity, but they're threatened by human activities. We as a species are very selfish. We only care, well, we care about other species and everything, but we really put ourselves first. And when we started running out of room, they started tearing down the rainforests, which decreases biodiversity around the globe. So the action that happens in one small area of the globe has a global impact. A keynote species is a complex relationship in ecosystems, means that the change in a single biotic or abiotic factor has a variety of different effects on the ecosystem as a whole. This change may be barely noticed or has a deep impact. We look at this through keynote species. They can change an entire ecosystem to be something that it normally would not be. Or when they leave, they can totally reduce the ecosystem right back to what it was. An example of that keynote species is a beaver. Normally, when we talk about keynote species, we would take a walk out back to Beaver Pond, to Beaver Brook, to the pond that's right behind the baseball field. I am going to try to possibly get you guys video footage out at Beaver Pond. But if not, I'll send you guys like a YouTube video of someone else's beaver pond. Beavers have the ability to take an area where there is just running water, so usually a stream, sewerage water, anything like that. Beavers don't tend to like the sound of leaky water. So actually what they do is that's why they build their home there. They build their dam. They stop the running water. Their dam is composed, I don't know if you guys can see in this picture, like a lot of small channels to get in and out. And then that backup of water causes a pond, which causes more things to occur. I have to keep moving myself. I'm sorry. So this is our last slide. So basically the importance of the keynote species, and I would totally show you guys this out in person. I may try, like I said, I'm going to try to go and get a video of at least a beaver pond. There's a bunch where I live. So hopefully I can sneak out into the woods and get a video of a beaver pond, if not Beaver Brook out back of the school. So a number of things happen when a beaver starts building its home. The first thing that can happen is that there are a large number of fish that are able to live in still waters of a beaver pond. So the beavers build their dam that creates a pond. Fish can then swim from the stream into the pond. That attracts fish-eating birds like herons or kingfishers. With water, still water, comes insects. They then inhabit the pond and the dead trees along the shore that are dead because the beaver cut them down, which attract fish or insect-eating birds like crested flycatchers They then nest in the tree cavities. Then we can have waterfowls come that start to nest among the shrubs and the grasses that grow along the pond's edge. And then animals come that prey upon the birds or their eggs that are attracted to the pond. So one beaver creates an entire ecosystem. Remember, ecosystems can be huge. They can be these huge ponds, or they can be super small, like a decaying log. Okay, so that's it for biotic and abiotic factors. Just remember, your biotic factors are your living things, your abiotic factors are your non-living things. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. So stay tuned, and I shall see you guys on Google Meet.